Reality is created by the mind. We can change our reality by changing our mind. A wise man speaks because he has something to say, a fool because he has to say something. No one is more hated than he who speaks the truth. The right question is usually more important than the right answer. Be kind. Every person you meet is fighting a difficult battle. The one who learns and doesn't practice is like the one who plows and never plants. Don't force your children into your ways, for they were created for a time different from your own. The cause of all sins in every case lies in the person's excessive love of self. The first and the best victory is to conquer self. Good people do not need laws to tell them to act responsibly, while bad people will find a way around the laws. Better to complete a small task well, than to do much imperfectly. Never discourage anyone who continually makes progress, no matter how slow, even if that someone is yourself. I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. Poverty doesn't come because of the decrease of wealth but because of the increase of desires. We become what we contemplate. You get to know someone better by playing for an hour than by talking for a year. Welcome out of the cave, my friend. It's a bit colder out here, but the stars are just beautiful. To begin is the most important part of any quest, and by far the most courageous. Every heart sings a song, incomplete, until another heart whispers back. Human behavior flows from three main sources: desire, emotion, and knowledge. If we are to have any hope for the future, those who have lanterns must pass them on to others. The worst of all deceptions is self-deception. Those who are able to see beyond the shadows and lies of their culture will never be understood, let alone believed by the masses. False words are not only evil in themselves, but they infect the soul with evil. If one has made a mistake, and fails to correct it, one has made a greater mistake. Happiness springs from doing good and helping others. Do not expect justice where might is right. The measure of a man is what he does with power. There is nothing so delightful as the hearing, or the speaking of truth. For this reason, there is no conversation so agreeable as that of the man of integrity, who hears without any intention to betray, and speaks without any intention to deceive. People are like dirt. They can either nourish you and help you grow as a person, or they can stunt your growth and make you wilt and die. We understand why children are afraid of darkness, but why are men afraid of light? Dictatorship naturally arises out of democracy, and the most aggravated form of tyranny and slavery out of the most extreme liberty. The true lover of knowledge naturally strives for truth, and is not content with common opinion, but soars with undimmed and unwearied passion till he grasps the essential nature of things. When you feel grateful, you become great, and eventually attract great things. Follow your dream as long as you live. Do not lessen the time of following desire, for wasting time is an abomination of the spirit. The wolf cares not how many the sheep be. You should not honor men more than truth. The price of apathy towards public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. All wars are fought for the sake of getting money. One cannot make a slave of a free person, for a free person is free even in a prison. The life which is not examined is not worth living. Thinking is the soul talking to itself. The greatest mistake physicians make is that they attempt to cure the body without attempting to cure the mind, yet the mind and the body are one and should not be treated separately. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. He who does not desire power is fit to hold it. Wisest is he who knows what he does not know. A good decision is based on knowledge, and not on numbers. Music has the capacity to touch the innermost reaches of the soul, and music gives flight to the imagination. The greatest privilege of a human life is to become a midwife to the awakening of the soul in another person. I have good hope that there is something after death. Everything changes and nothing remains still. One of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. Lack of activity destroys the good condition of every human being. Justice means minding one's own business and not meddling with other men's concerns. Seek truth while you are young, for if you do not, it will later escape your grasp. The most effective kind of education is that a child should play amongst lovely things. Courage is knowing what to fear. The noblest of all studies is the study of what man is and of what life he should live. All learning is in the learner, not the teacher. Maximize the power of the beliefs that strengthen you and neutralize those that weaken you. A tyrant is always stirring up some war or other, in order that the people may require a leader. Knowledge of the soul is the only universal truth, and the only wisdom. All other knowledge is transient. You ought not to heal the body without the soul, for this is the great error of our day in treating the human body. Self-conquest is the greatest of victories. He who is of a calm and happy nature will hardly feel the pressure of age. The qualities which a man seeks in his beloved are those characteristics of his own soul, whether he knows it or not. Music is to the mind as air is to the body. Only those who do not seek power are qualified to hold it. A library of wisdom is more precious than all wealth, and all things that are desirable cannot be compared to it. Whoever therefore claims to be zealous of truth, of happiness, of wisdom or knowledge, must become a lover of books. There is far greater peril in buying knowledge than in buying meat and drink. The worst form of injustice is pretended justice. Opinion is the medium between knowledge and ignorance. Knowledge which is acquired under compulsion obtains no hold on the mind. God is truth and light his shadow. Just as bees make honey from thyme, the strongest and driest of herbs, so do the wise profit from the most difficult of experiences. If the head and the body are to be well, you must begin by curing the soul. Necessity is literally the mother of invention. Integrity is your destiny, it is the light that guides your way. He who wishes to serve his country must have not only the power to think, but the will to act. Beauty of style and harmony and grace and good rhythm depend on simplicity. A grateful mind is a great mind which eventually attracts to itself great things. I know nothing more worthy of a man's ambition than that his son be the best of men. Only the dead have seen the end of war. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Man is a being in search of meaning. Each man is capable of doing one thing well. If he attempts several, he will fail to achieve distinction in any. Better a good enemy than a bad friend. All thought begins with the recognition that something is out of place. If there is no contradictory impression, there is nothing to awaken reflection. Nothing ever is, everything is becoming. When the mind is thinking, it is talking to itself. The highest form of pure thought is in mathematics. The first step in learning is the destruction of human conceit. Complacent ignorance is the most lethal sickness of the soul. Tyranny naturally arises out of democracy. Ignorance, the root and the stem of every evil. In order to seek one's own direction, one must simplify the mechanics of ordinary, everyday life. A house that has a library in it has a soul. To conquer oneself is the best and noblest victory. To be vanquished by one's own nature is the worst and most ignoble defeat. The cure of the part should not be attempted without treatment of the whole. No attempt should be made to cure the body without the soul. Let no one persuade you to cure the head until he has first given you his soul to be cured, for this is the great error of our day, that physicians first separate the soul from the body. In an honest man there is always something of a child. Music is the movement of sound to reach the soul for the education of its virtue. Atheism is a disease of the soul before it becomes an error of understanding. Education in music is most sovereign because more than anything else rhythm and harmony find their way to the innermost soul and take strongest hold upon it. The beginning is half of the whole. More will be accomplished, and better, and with more ease, if every man does what he is best fitted to do, and nothing else. True friendship can exist only between equals. A man who really fights for justice must lead a private, not a public, life if he is to survive for even a short time. No soul willfully does wrong. Access to power must be confined to those who are not in love with it. No one can escape his destiny. Take charge of your thoughts. You can do what you will with them. Watch a man at play for an hour, and you can learn more about him than in talking to him for a year. Wonder is the feeling of the philosopher, and philosophy begins in wonder. The wrong use of a thing is far worse than the non-use. Wonder is the beginning of the desire to know the beautiful and the good. Rhetoric is the art of ruling the minds of men. To win over your bad self is the grandest and foremost of victories. There are three classes of men: lovers of wisdom, lovers of honor, and lovers of gain. I fast for greater physical and mental efficiency. Fly from the company of the wicked, fly, and turn not back. And what, Socrates, is the food of the soul? Surely, I said, knowledge is the food of the soul. Knowledge is the rediscovering of our own insight. The people always have some champion whom they set over them and nurse into greatness. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs. When he first appears, he is a protector. Before all, it's necessary to look after the soul, if you want the head and the rest of the body to function correctly. When a beautiful soul harmonizes with a beautiful form, and the two are cast in one mold, that will be the fairest of sights to him who has the eye to contemplate the vision. No man should be angry with what is true. Arguments derived from probabilities are idle. A sensible man will remember that the eyes may be confused in two ways by a change from light to darkness or from darkness to light, and he will recognize that the same thing happens to the soul. Let brother help brother. The excessive increase of anything causes a reaction in the opposite direction. It is better to be wise, and not to seem so, than to seem wise, and not be so, yet men, for the most part, desire the contrary. To a good man nothing that happens is evil. Give me a different set of mothers and I will give you a different world. Harmony sinks deep into the recesses of the soul and takes its strongest hold there, bringing grace also to the body and mind as well. Music is a moral law. It gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, a charm to sadness, and life to everything. It is the essence of order. Wisdom always makes men fortunate, for by wisdom no man could ever err, and therefore he must act rightly and succeed, or his wisdom would be wisdom no longer. I'm trying to think, don't confuse me with facts. All men, well interrogated, answer well. Misanthropy ariseth from a man trusting another without having sufficient knowledge of his character, and thinking him to be truthful, sincere, and honorable, finds a little afterwards that he is wicked, faithless, and then he meets with another of the same character. When a man experiences this often, and more particularly from those whom he considered his most dear and best friends, at last, having frequently made a slip, he hates the whole world, and thinks that there is nothing sound at all in any of them. The power to learn is present in everyone's soul, and the instrument with which each learns is like an eye that cannot be turned around from darkness to light without turning the whole body. We are like people looking for something they have in their hands all the time. We're looking in all directions except at the thing we want, which is probably why we haven't found it. Courage is a kind of salvation. The direction in which education starts a man will determine his future life.